What I mean.
Hey, hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Paranormal Trucker. I am PT or Paranormal Trucker or physical therapy or whatever you want to call me. I'm on the road. I figured a lot of you would probably call BS that I was an actual trucker, but you can see very clearly I am traveling down the highway. With me, as always, are my two cohorts, Snowman and Large Marge.
Hello.
Do I sound like? Do
How's the road, trucker?
oh well, it's
What's your
trucker life.
company?
I am currently in I'm on US 23 in Virginia. It's an old highway.
Back when I grew up, didn't all of our parents had CB radios in the car, didn't we?
Oh yeah,
That was
Yeah.
a big thing.
and in the home that was a big deal.
Yeah, we had. My dad always had a CB radio in the car.
I've got one in the truck. Hopefully nobody will say anything stupid in here.
No,
Just add to the show.
that's right.
I guess it will. um, well, being that I'm driving, I mean, obviously can't read any of the stuff that I have prepared. So I'm slacking this week, but I figured I would give you the a good video tour of the highway as we travel tonight. I'm heading toward Alabama this evening. Try to make it down as far as I can so I can get delivered with what I've got on the truck tomorrow, and then pick up another load coming right back to the house. So can't beat that. Get paid both ways. That's what we like.
Well,
Well, that's what you like.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell in creation that I could drive for a living.
No, it's definitely an acquired taste.
It is.
Definitely an acquired taste. So what have you guys been up to? I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever.
It seems like it has been forever.
well, I moved the office out of the house down to the new office, so I'm back on the road a lot.
So he's
Right.
not working at home
I'm
as
not working
much.
at home anymore,
Bummer.
Oh, that's sad.
It is. It is a bummer.
and it's been hectic trying to get caught up on the stuff that I do and straighten up, put everything where it needs to be so I can find it decent. But the good part is I'm not working out of a box. I had all my files and stuff for my jobs that we were working on in a box. And when I could keep the cat from sleeping in the box, then I could find my files. So it's has been, but there again, I get up, get ready to go to work. I could sit here in my pajamas if I wanted to. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's that would have been the life to get to work from home.
It was hard for him to work here because, first of all, it's very small here, so we don't have, like, he couldn't work in a separate room. So he's sitting there trying to work, and I'm in here watching TV and doing my daily thing, and it distracted him. He couldn't focus on his jobs
yeah, and we have a family friend comes over
every day,
every day,
3 or 4
because
times.
they own the building. Well, they actually own the property, and the building beside us. He has a restaurant that is a little nook in a hospital, so they don't have room to prepare food there. So they prepare the food here and take it there to sell. And
Uh-huh.
So
we get to see him every day, and he come in, and then you get to talking. It's a lot of distractions.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that.
And another big bummer, UK lost yesterday.
Yes.
Just had to put that out there.
Oh man.
But
How bad did they lose?
winning right now.
And another thing that we're working on, we're looking at getting a new home. Not moving anywhere, just replacing the old.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So I had went 2 months and hadn't smoked any, and just all the paperwork and trying to get everything together and
Working from home.
working from home, making plans, and then we had one job that we had a guy work for us that just kind of made things rough on us. Not just not just doing things that shouldn't be. He knew better than that. But
Right.
it caused a lot of aggravation. And in the van, I had an emergency smoke, and I smoked it, and that's all it took. So I started smoking again, and I'm gonna get my mind right to quit.
Yeah,
For the
because
same-
no smoking in the new house.
Yeah,
Nobody.
yeah, she's done the
Well, we agreed.
cracking the whip,
We agreed.
cracking the whip.
We agreed
we
on
did,
that.
we did.
I'm not being the boss.
No, and I'm not making you be the bad guy.
But we're getting a beautiful new home, and I don't want it stunk up with cigarette smoke.
I
And
completely
wouldn't
understand that.
smoke it. And I want everything to stay nice and fresh and that.
Right.
For
Yeah, I completely understand that. You didn't answer my question. How bad did Kentucky lose yesterday?
Oh,
I think right around 10 points, something like that. I don't remember the final score.
yeah, it was they trailed the whole entire game.
Yeah.
They played a crummy game yesterday.
Yeah,
Sheepway wasn't. I mean, he couldn't make a basket if you duct taped it to him and threw him through the ring.
Oh man.
Washington wasn't doing anything. I mean, and the bad thing about it was Tennessee was playing awful too.
yeah, and
If Kentucky would have just straightened up a little bit, they'd have blew Tennessee away.
they the whole team was off their game yesterday. They did not play
Right.
like they're supposed to play, like they can play.
Yeah.
It was, it doesn't matter who shot the ball.
It was a disappointing game.
It was, and I mean, it's like
And Grady was out early.
You couldn't will them a goal.
No, they could not make a basket to save their lives.
Because they were down, gosh.
Oh, they were down quite a bit.
15 or 16 points at halftime or something like that. And it was just, nothing was going right.
No.
Wow.
And
it was disappointing. But then again, I'm a Tennessee fan. They're my second favorite. So I'm cheering them on to go through the SEC.
So it wasn't a terrible loss for you then. You still got one of your favorites in there.
It wasn't a terrible loss because I love Tennessee. I always said if I lived anywhere else, I'd live in Tennessee. I just love it there. It's beautiful and the people are wonderful. Shout out to my Tennessee friends.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to the Tennessee friends. And I'm sure you guys hear me hacking in the background. I apologize for that. I'm nursing a cold here. It started because of, I guess, the temperature started getting warmer, 60s and 70s, and I guess stuff started to kind of get back out in bloom, and it started with allergies, and then it snowed 18 inches there Friday night, and it dropped off frigid, and I got stuck out in the rain and stuff for a little bit, and I am absolutely I sound awful. I feel awful. I look awful. It's terrible.
Well, I hope you feel better soon.
Well, I appreciate that. And speaking of Tennessee, if anybody knows where I'm at right now, I'm getting ready to cross the state line into Tennessee.
You're going through, what is it, Weber City or something? I
think this is Weber City. We just went through Gate City, or this might be Gate City, and Weber City's just down here.
Gate City's where my girlfriend lives.
Well, we're traveling through that area right now.
I have a girlfriend that lives at Gate City.
We'll give a shout out.
A shout out to Gate City and shout out to my girlfriend Melanie.
Whichever one you want.
Well, she just shouted out.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, there you go. So so you don't work from home anymore. Is that a bummer, or is that better?
Well, don't get me wrong, I like working out of the house because it was a little different, but you have distractions. I had the computer set up in the living room, and
if we had the new house, it would be really nice because he could have had his own office.
I could have been out. I could have kept it away from
right, and actually focused on his job.
Right.
because he does a lot of
And,
computer work.
it's and over there it's easier because I've got all of these files and books on materials and stuff that I use a lot because sometimes it's a little faster than looking it up on the computer when you don't know what you got if you had the book. So I can it's just easier, But part that sucks most is I got to get up and drive 50 minutes to get to work.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, that stinks.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the worst part.
And then by the time he gets off work, he's got an hour to drive home.
Yeah.
So that stinks.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
It does.
Yeah, but you know what I usually here lately, I've got to listen to those books on tape, and gosh mighty, because I've been driving a lot, going to different jobs and different places. And then every day I'll listen to it for 2 hours, and
Yeah.
it's different than the radio. Don't get me wrong, I like the radio, but it lets me listen to books that I would otherwise have to sit down and read, and usually the only time I can sit down and read a book is when I go take care of some personal business, and I in that one room that doubles as a library and a restroom. So
Right. Well, and like I told you before, I started listening to audible books before you did, and it's a time saver for one, but it also, listen, I like the radio just as much as the next guy, but occasionally it just gets a little boring just to hear music all the time. Occasionally you want to hear something else, and then when you get tired of the news channels and the talk channels, then you're tired of that. It's nice to be able to pick a different book each week and just go through it and listen to it and have a good story and let your imagination work a little bit.
yeah, and right now I'm on a kick. There's an artist, Ben Bova. He's a science fiction writer, but the books that I've been listening to, it's more like political. We lost you.
Can you still hear me though?
We can hear you.
Okay, it's okay. I'm just checking my GPS.
It's political and goes through the government workings and how you have politicians trying to shut projects down, stuff like this. But I listened to 3 books based on exploring Mars, and they were fighting the politics, trying to get it paid for and everything like it, and then the problems that happen. He's a good writer, and there's good stories, and he in the 3 books on Mars, the main character is a Native American, and
It's a Navajo, I think.
Yeah, and there were all the trying to take things away from him instead of giving him his due and all this and that. They're really good books. I enjoyed them, and I encourage anybody who wants to listen to it. It's just the author is Ben Bova, and the first book is called Mars.
Yeah, you need to spell his last name, because when you turned me on to him, I thought it was Boba, and I was looking up Boba, but it's actually Bov as in Victor A.
Bova, yeah.
And he's a very good author. Very detailed.
Don't know if
What is it?
Because he's written book. He started writing books back in the 70s, and but the books that he wrote are very interesting, good stories.
The very detailed books, and they get your imagination going. I've listened to several books myself from him. Power Sat is an excellent book. I'm listening to the second book about Mars currently. I listened to the first Voyagers book. There's apparently a Voyagers 2 and 3, which I downloaded yesterday, that we'll be listening to after I finish the Mars books.
Yeah, I've started on. He has a series of books that they kind of lump together, and they call it the Grand Tour. And it's basically something about all the planets or moons in our solar system, and people trying to explore them and this and that, and but like I said, the ones I've listened to have been really good.
Okay, so the girls I went to high school with have gotten together and made a stupid book club. Well, I don't like to read, but I want to be in this stupid club.
A stupid book club.
So, so I tried to read the first book they put out, and I couldn't make it. I got through 2 chapters, and that was the worst thing that I've ever done. So the next
Yeah.
book Mike got me on Audible. So I haven't listened yet, but I'm going to listen to it on Audible. I'm going to make myself.
Yeah. And for those who are wondering who Mike is, that's Snowman sitting next to
Oh, I'm sorry.
Large March.
Yeah, the Snowman. Snowman is
We've said our names much. People should know the name.
Yeah, I don't even know why you still put Snowman
Large
down.
Marge messes up
Starman, Snowman down at the bottom of your little screen there.
Large Marge, she has her indulgences. So kind of when she gets on the show, anything can happen.
But those books, they're entertaining. It's not like I've read some books that you sit there and you just struggle to get through because the stories doesn't hold your interest. This one does. He puts a lot of detail in it and some really smart aspects of like actually traveling to Mars, and actually trying to live on Mars. Just a little scientific detail, and it's not Star Trek because they've got that techno babble that you can't understand. He puts it out there where anybody can listen to it and know what's going on, and they're really good books. And I just started another one in that series. It's called Moonrise, and it's about the exploration of the moon, and it's a good book.
Yeah.
And some of the same characters in the Mars books are mentioned in there. It's very interesting.
What's the name of the one you downloaded for me? Do you remember? The Silent Presence.
Silent Presence.
Silent Presence.
Silent Presence. Well,
I'm sure if it's being read in a book club,
it's a girly thing, probably.
It's probably going to be one of the things you're going to have to do a lot of interpretation. I just don't
know. The first book that they had us read called The Giver. I didn't want to read it, but it was about the mule librarians that were down in the Eastern Mountains during like the turn of the century and that used to bring books to kids and families and that down in the mountains. So it was interesting because I'm interested in this area, obviously. But it was a good book from what they told me.
Yeah, well, when I was young, it was book people. They'd load the books up, take them up the hollers.
We had bookmobiles too. But this is when they brought them by horseback.
But yeah, it's something else. I mean, that's just like everything else. We kind of got into the discussion today.
Tennessee won. Tennessee won. They're SEC champs. You heard it here first.
Like about cryptocurrency,
breaking news. Breaking Paranormal Trucker news. Tennessee is your SEC champs.
That's right. That's right. You heard it here first.
Sorry, I'm eating a Reese cup.
Oh, God, thank God the camera's on your face. That'd be
chocolate, good.
Chocolate up in the goatee and up his nostrils and everything else.
Yummy.
Oh, it'd be bad.
But we got into a discussion earlier today about this cryptocurrency. They're advertising on TV and everything. Even H&R Block is advertising being able to do your taxes with it.
Yeah.
And you think about it, it's going that way. Eventually, you're not going to get a paycheck. You're going to get credits.
Yeah.
To spend or whatever. And actually, some ways it's that way right now.
I was gonna say if you have direct deposit,
I get direct deposited my check gets direct deposited in my account.
Well, I was going to say, if you have direct deposit, you never see your cash unless you pull it out.
I don't even carry cash, which kind of sucks because somebody stole my identity and I had to cancel my card and do all that. It's and I had to write a check. That's probably the first check I had written in probably 3 years for.
Any of you listeners, paranormal trucker listeners, if you stole Snowman's identity, give it back. It's time to own up. No questions asked.
What's with that?
Yeah.
Just give it back.
Oh, yeah. I caught it when I got sent an email that my MacBook was on its way.
Really? Where's that MacBook at?
The women's UK women's won the women's SEC.
Well, good
A
deal.
lot of people don't know that. They don't follow the women's basketball. So Tennessee won the men's, but Kentucky won the women's.
Excellent. Sorry, I have a mouthful of buttercup and
You're
throat.
supposed to.
That
Oh my
was
God.
fizzling.
You're
I couldn't.
like one of them big bulldogs with peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth. Or you
Yeah.
licking.
Yeah. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
We just
What were we talking about before I came in on this?
The
The
crypto.
crypto.
And
Oh yeah.
you think about it, here in the probably the next 10 years, a bank's gonna be like Blockbuster. There won't be one. There's gonna be what purpose would a bank serve?
Well, you know what? In all honesty, good riddance, because they've done it to themselves. There's a reason that term banker's hours exists. If you open your lobby at 9 a.m. and close it at 3 p.m., you ought to be shut down.
Yeah.
Normal people work longer hours than that. And we can't get to the bank because we have to take a day off work to come to the bank. You deserve to be shut down. All I need you for is an ATM. That's it.
Let me tell you something. I used to work in a bank, and it was the worst job I ever had in my entire life.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
The
I could not
banking
imagine.
industry is the worst.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Terrible.
Could not imagine.
I took pictures years ago.
Oh, that's
my wife. She was in a car wreck and wasn't able to work for a little while. So I took a second job to help pay for the bills and all this and that. Well, the job I took was with Sherwin-Williams, and I worked. Well, it got wintertime. I was part-time, so I got laid off. So I went down the road and started taking pictures at Kmart. And it was I was good at taking the pictures to get them babies to do whatever I wanted to do, For the first 2 weeks, I couldn't earn commission. I was only getting paid like $7 an hour. After that first 2 weeks, by the end of the next 2 weeks, I was third leading salesman in the eastern half of the United States. I could lie them ugly ass babies. You get them up there. Look how pretty. Well, here, I got these little trinkets here to go with it. There's only $39 to go with it. I could sell. Oh, I'm probably going to help with that.
Snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
Snake oil.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, so I have been watching our YouTube following continue to grow. Just this week, we have got a few more subscribers. We'd like to thank you for subscribing, and hope you continue to enjoy the channel. But also got an email from a vivid or an avid listener. I'm sure they're real. Avid listener.
Yeah, you must have had a dead spot because you were. You didn't understand it.
Yeah, I think it lagged out a little bit. But we had an email from one of our avid listeners who suggested that we talk about the underground base at. Now I don't know how to pronounce it. I've called it Dulce, and I know it's wrong. But is it Dulce or Dulce?
Yeah.
Dulce, New Mexico, which sits on the border of Colorado and New Mexico.
And,
We
and if I'm not mistaken, pretty sure it's an Indian reservation.
I'm
but-
gonna research it and find out.
Yeah, and but you know, there's a lot of stories comes out of there as far as people that's been there and things like that. So
Yeah.
when we do that next
where
episode,
we are going to be taught, we're going to be researching this and going to do a good episode on it.
yes,
Unfortunately, I've got some stuff about it, but where I can't look at it right now while I'm driving, we'll just have to wait till I'm stationary. We can talk about it then. I know Snowman's got some stuff, and Large March has got some stuff.
Yeah.
So with tonight's show, we're just going to do a normal, probably kind of a short show because I won't have anything really to talk about. So it'll just be Marge and Snowman that's carrying the weight of this show on their shoulders.
you know, we're old. We don't carry as much weight as we used to.
Well,
No.
this
I can't
It's
carry my own weight.
it's your time to shine.
Now,
But
let me ask you something. Driving around there, when you're driving stuff on the road, have you seen anything?
Any
Yeah.
anomalies?
Yeah, UFO, Bigfoot, chupacabra.
Something
anything.
you couldn't explain.
see, I really don't watch the.
You're cutting out on us, PT.
I don't understand. I'm out of the mountains now. I should have perfectly good service. Does that sound okay now?
You're sounding better now.
Okay. Like I say, I know it sounds awful, but as a truck driver, I really don't watch the sides of the road, so I don't really see, creatures that could be lurking on the side of the highway or something like that. If it's
Well,
out
how
of
about
the,
in the sky?
I'm sorry.
How about in the sky?
Well, that's what I was going to get to. Is the if it's outside of the headlights, I don't see it. So when I'm driving, I can see up in the sky, and I look around and I see, certain stars that may stand out to me or whatever. I have seen a couple things that struck me as odd, and one of them, oddly enough, was in daytime. And I was driving a truck. This has been many years ago, on some back roads in Arizona. And when I say back roads, I mean like the actual movie cactuses, like standing 7 feet tall with like their big arms hanging out with big spikes and stuff. Just everywhere. And it's a 2-lane road, and I was traveling around. I was in a tractor trailer, and I looked up and I saw this military helicopter. And it was a military helicopter because it looked like an Apache. If for those of you who don't know what the Apaches are, it's the gunship that the Army uses. And it was kind of flying in a straight line, kind of following the same course that I was driving. And I was watching him, kind of do his maneuvers or whatever. And of course, I was doing my thing, driving the truck around these bends. And then I looked up at him to see where he was at, and then looked down to check my mirrors. And when I looked right back up, I mean, couldn't have been less than a second, he was gone. So I, of course, rolled down my window. Now this helicopter is low enough that you should be able to hear it over the truck sound. Couldn't hear it, so I pulled over, stopped the truck, got out because it kind of bugged me. I was like, well, surely God, he's not following me now, So I got out to look around the truck, and that helicopter was gone, had vanished completely. So I'm like, well, that's weird. So he's ducked down into a valley or something. So I get back in the truck and start driving, and a couple minutes later, that helicopter appears right over top of me again. Never seen it coming. Never seen it fly from behind me or from the side of me or from the front of me, but it appeared right over top of me. It was very strange, and it almost made me wonder. We talk about the military industrial complex as far as what kind of equipment and what kind of inventions they've come up with. And do I think invisibility is is beyond what they're coming up with. Probably not beyond, but I mean, I think maybe they've got some sort of paint on these aircrafts that they were working with, and then they can, I don't know. It just, to me, it was strange. The helicopter completely disappeared.
Yeah.
That is strange. I'd be wondering too.
I know back in when I was selling paint, the military equipment started coming back from Iraq, and one of the local companies got a contract to clean it up, fix anything and paint it. And the paint that we sold to them was a radar absorbing paint.
Oh, really?
And they were they're putting this on construction equipment. It wasn't tanks and things like that. They were putting this on construction equipment. But the paperwork that had to be filled out for the government, they wanted to know where that paint was going, what it was going on, and
Lord
basically
mercy,
where
they're
that
getting
piece of equipment was going after they got done. And every time I sold, 10 gallons of it, there was probably 20 minutes worth of paperwork to do to sell that 10 gallons. Just because, I guess that's not getting out to where, to the public, or anybody else.
Right.
They were trying to keep track on it because it is radar absorbent paint.
Well, sure.
I don't imagine it's going to stop all radar, but it would probably, make it.
I didn't even know they made such things.
Mhm. Yeah, I know the military jets that like the F-117 and that B-2 stealth bomber. There's a paint, and I don't know who makes it. Couldn't tell you that they spray on those. It's called Iron Ball, and it's a black paint, and it is radar absorbent.
Huh.
It's
Wow.
it's
That's interesting.
That's amazing to me that they can do that kind of stuff, because paint is dirt. They dig it out of the ground just like they dig out coal. They grind it up, mix all this some chemicals in, latex and binders and things like that to make it work. And when you paint your house, you're putting dirt on your house. But they've got it. Hell, it kills germs now. They have paint that you put in your house that kills germs, or won't let stuff grow on it. It's made the technology and stuff that they got now that you really don't, people don't think about it. They go and get their paint for their house. That's some of the stuff that stuff does is amazing.
Yes,
Because
I agree. Now, I do what now?
I said, it used to, when turn of the century. Hey, when you went to someplace to get paint, they sold you the stuff to make the paint yourself. You mixed it up yourself.
Yeah.
They'd sell you the thinners and all and the oils and whatever went in it, and you did it yourself.
So I guess the question would be: do you think that helicopter would have had some sort of paint on it that made it invisible to the eye, or do you think it's a new form of technology?
I don't think it would have been paint. I think it would have had to been something electromagnetic that would bend the light, because you got paint. Like I said, paint's dirt.
Yeah.
You're going to have to hide. I don't see it may stop an invisible radar wave from bouncing back in a straight line that it came from, but I don't think paint can bend light.
Well, it's very interesting, especially something that's got that many moving parts as a helicopter. It's got two rotors, one main and one tail rotor, as well as it itself is moving on 3 different axes. So it would have to be something. Even if it were bending the light around it, you should still be able to see it.
Well, that just depends on how big of the field that you can generate around it. And all that, and to me, that would have to be something that's creating a lot of power. What's in it
Right.
that's creating that power? Because you ain't getting it from a jet engine. Jet engine is what runs those things. And you're not going to get the power you need, not the electrical power you need for that.
Well, now that brings up an interesting point, because you remember how I said that the helicopter seemed to not make any sound.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
It's probably electric.
Could be.
Well, it
We're
could
trying
be,
to push
but
everything electric.
Oh gosh, I think it was when they went and got Osama bin Laden, and one of the Black Hawk helicopters crashed,
Uh-huh.
and they destroyed it.
Right. It was a
Well,
prototype, wasn't it?
They said it was a stealth helicopter, which is
Yeah.
supposed to have, faceted body panels and all this. But how do you stop that rotor noise? That from a helicopter, that thump, thump, thump is basically like little sonic booms.
Well, and that's kind of what I was getting at there. You were talking about the field, assuming that light can penetrate the field and you can see through the field, but maybe sound can't.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something. Yeah, we could research it. I'm sure we're not going to be able to find a whole lot about it because I'm
No.
sure that's pretty secret stuff.
Well,
But,
I'm sure it is.
To that point, though, if it disappeared, like I said, that would be something that is because colors and things like that is how your eyes perceive light. It's not.
Yes.
They don't just look that way. That's how you perceive light. You can look at, say, I see the color green here. What is green to me? But to Marge, green may look like what brown is to me. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It's how your eyes take that light in and process that information. And
My older son has color. What do they call it?
color blindness.
Color blindness, and he gets green and red are the colors that he gets mixed up. And he's an airplane avionics mechanic in that. And
Yeah.
yeah, he
Oh,
does. No,
no.
seriously. They have to ban the wires in that other than color code. So he know. Well, not just him. That's a male dominant trait.
Yeah. And like
So there's a lot of men that have different types of
but it's
color
not like
blindness.
you can't. They can't function.
No.
What,
I know that.
like I said, what looks like green to me, she may perceive it as brown, but that's green. She knows that color is green.
They found
Yeah.
that when he was in elementary school.
And
I guess when he colored stuff or whatever.
and it's just
Little Bubby.
it's but like I say, getting back to the helicopter, I think it would have to be something that would create like a bubble that would bend the light that's behind it. So when you saw it, you're seeing it's just like it's not there. You're not, it's not, and to prove that point, you have the astronomers and stuff when they're looking at these stars out in the universe.
Uh-huh.
If there's a star right here, they can actually see another star that's farther out that's right behind it because of what they call gravitational lensing. Gravity actually bends the light around that star that's in front of it. And
He's so smart.
I ain't smart. I can't
you
do the
are.
math to figure that out for you, but I watch a little bit of TV. But that it's possible.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
and and here again, look at a mirage, and I know you've had to seen that driving through the desert or on a hot day, and you're looking
Sure.
down the road or whatever, and that heat, it's like there's something above the road, until you get
Yeah.
up there. And it's reflecting that light. So it, anything's possible.
Definitely. Well, now going back to the Marge's color blindness, or her son's color blindness. Yes, it is. It is a very common thing that is strangely just among males. It seems.
Right.
I have a friend. He owns his own dentist office, and he's the same way. And now that I kind of think about it, it seems like the only the only men that I've ever met that are that do have the blue or the yellow green, excuse me, the yellow red colorblind. Is it yellow red or green red?
Green and red is what Zach is.
Okay, it seems like the only ones that I've met that have that particular type of colorblindness are fairly intelligent people. So I wonder
Right.
if that's a trait of
That's interesting. I don't know.
and that's just an observation, just of meeting. I don't know if there's any dumbass shitbirds out there that don't know anything. You're colorblind. Let us know.
Well, and like I said, they can function, they perceive, and what the problem is the reason they call them colorblind
Is they don't they
because
interpret
the
colors
majority of the
differently.
people are picking, let's say, green. Well, that don't look like that to them. That looks like something else.
Sure.
And
Well,
they're saying
greens,
colorblind
yellows, reds, oranges, they're all on a similar
well, yeah.
spectrum.
And what I'm saying is, there's probably nothing really wrong with them. They're perceiving
No.
color, they're just not perceiving it like the majority
right.
are perceiving.
Well, right, and that's what I'm getting at is it seems like the men that I've met that have that, I won't even call it an affliction, that trait, seem to be very intelligent people. So
Yeah.
it seems like maybe that is a sign of intellect, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe that's just the way their brains are wired or work.
Well, Zachary's dad had it. So I always thought it was hereditary. I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Well, and he, and I know the field that he works in, he has to have quite a bit of intelligence to
Yeah.
do the work that he does.
Oh,
So
he's very intelligent. Zachary is. He just got a promotion. He's how can I explain it? Like an electrician, a regular electrician does the work, but then a master electrician has to come in and sign off on it. And that's what Zachary's doing now. Zachary, the guys do the work, and Zachary has to go and sign off on it.
Well, that makes me feel weird. He's not changing the green and red light bulbs.
No, he's not changing the green and red light bulb. Are you kidding? Every time I get on a plane, I ask the pilot, I'm like, I need to see the mechanical records of this plane. They're like, you don't have nothing to worry about. This plane's in great shape. I said, no, my son is an avionics and he works on these planes, and I don't want to be nowhere near a plane he works on. He wouldn't even clean his room. Little booger.
That's funny.
Love his heart. No, he's highly intelligent. He always was. He always makes straight A's.
And
well, see, that's what I say. I wonder, what that has to do with, if anything. But it seems like it's a coincidence, if nothing else.
Let's see.
Well, it's like I said, I think it's just like I said, you're saying more intelligent people might have that problem. Maybe their brain's wired a little different. That it's taking away something over here to
Does
increase something
blindness
on
indicate high intelligence?
in another area. Just like
Right.
when we talked Firewater, and he was talking about his son had never really had any of the premonitions or whatever until his sister died.
Right,
you know,
right.
and you know, he was wired to that. He may have had it and didn't know it, and then you know, it just triggered something where all that stuff started. You know, people, you know, we're only using 10% of our brain. It was what the experts say.
Right.
You know, and
It says here that any correlation you find could mean nothing, and it doesn't mean colorblind people are less intelligent or more intelligent.
oh,
Colorblindness has no correlation with high IQ.
okay. Well,
Huh.
that's me.
The internet said it, so it has to be true.
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to blow you. I was trying to blow you guys up. The internet just shot me down. So,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I guess you guys aren't as smart as the rest of us, are you?
So,
But that is an interesting observation.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, and it may not have anything to do with it, but it just seems odd that the only people that I've run into that have that trait are very, very intelligent people.
well, you know, and like I said, I work for a production company now. we paint is what we do, and I've noticed that a lot of the painters, we're painting the what I call gray, they call brown. Every one of them. And I don't know if
Oh,
that's
really?
yeah, I don't know if that's just them being lazy saying, "Yeah, this is brown," or is it, you know, or is that the way they're perceiving it?
I've
Well,
seen that. with
and
paint
also
people.
you have spent the better part of your life dealing with paint and different shades of paint, not just in a professional aspect, but in your personal life. You build scale models and you deal with different shades of grays and reds and blacks and browns. It's possible that your eyes are more in tune with the slightest variations of color than
Well,
anyone else.
that could be because I'm a little more on the creative side than the analytical side, you know, and it may be, um, you know, like I said, that's the way my brain is wired. I look for those details, you know, and then something else, you know, you get up in the morning, you're driving, and all of a sudden, you know, little clouds come up in the morning, they're all red, and the sun's poking up. And, you know, that's just eye candy for me.
Right.
Just seeing the colors. But you know, and for me, I can look at something if I'm going to paint, you know, if I want to paint my house, paint a room or something like that, I can pick a color and look at it and say, that'll look good in there. And I know what it's going to look like before it ever gets put on the wall,
Yeah.
you know. And I noticed in my 20 years that I worked for them, you could take half the people and split them right down the middle and set them up. Half of them could see what they wanted, knew what they wanted, they knew how it's going to look, and man, but the other half, you know, I have spent sometimes a week helping people pick out colors, you know, just because they can't visualize.
Well, and that's the type of person I am. I know you get frustrated whenever I ask you, "Hey, can you come over to the house and help me rearrange something or figure out a best way to do this?" I can't in my mind's eye, I can't see the way something should look.
Yeah,
So
you know, that was something that I can look at it and tell what it's going to look like when I'm done, you know.
right.
Well, I sold new homes for 20 some years, new home construction. And 9 out of 10 of my homeowners could not imagine that house until it was up in drywall stage.
Hmm.
From the
Yeah,
time they put the foundation and framed the walls up, they would give me phone calls screaming, crying. We were building the wrong house and all this stuff. I'm like, no, we're fine. It's the right house.
oh, you
People
mean like they couldn't visualize
No,
anything. Oh,
no,
okay, I see what you're saying.
they thought I was building a completely different house than what they ordered. And that I was like, no, it's. But people can't see that when you walk, especially when everything's at the stud stage, when
Yeah,
everything's just studded up, everything's open. So people would, I'd have to walk my homeowners through that process slowly at each one of them because it was hard for them to see.
and that must be the difference. Like Snowman was saying, it we are a an interesting species where half of the people in the world are driven by creativity and the other half are very analytical, and they can't see the creativity, they can only see the numbers.
Right.
And it's we as a species have so much potential, and yet we can't stop fighting amongst each other.
No.
I know.
Yeah. And that's how we've got to where we are. Okay. You've got the people, the dreamers and the creators come up with these ideals. And after they kind of get them perfected, then you've got the people that sell it and
Right.
make it profitable. And we have to work together to advance everything. And sometimes that's hard to do. Because
Yeah, I
not
guess.
everybody, you're a child of your environment. It depends on how you grew up, where you went to school, how good your school was at math and science or English or art or whatever.
Yeah.
And and that's the sad thing right now is
Our educational
our
system
educational system is
sucks.
they don't have the money to put into things that should be catered, because not everybody is going to be a scientist, not everybody's going to be a math teacher or a English
No,
professor
we
or
still
something
have
like
to
that.
have mechanics.
We
We
gotta
still have
you
to
still need
have
mechanics.
any
You still have
kind of
somebody that needs to
laborers,
work with their hands, and we still need
framers.
people doing art, music, and those programs
manual labor.
are just about gone. Because they start cutting, everything's costing so much, they're having to cut their budgets, and those programs kind of disappear.
We were talking the other day about the difference between like the classes that we were taught when we were in school that they don't teach anymore. There's so many, but one of the main ones was when we were in high school. We had a accounting class,
Mhm.
which taught us financing. It taught us how to run a checking account, a bank account. It taught us how to run books if we had a business. And it was it taught you how to run your own finances, how to play a little bit in the stock market. And they don't teach any of that anymore. And there's so many classes that need to be taught.
And like when I went to school, they taught, they taught algebra. That just went over my head.
Me too.
I could
And
not get up.
geometry.
But now geometry,
No, I didn't.
I
like
could
it.
figure geometry because I had something something visual that I could relate to it.
Measure.
And if I was going to try to get a shape or something like that, to me that was a lot easier. But
Algebra was
like I
a
say,
waste.
I'm not I'm not a rocket scientist, so I don't need to figure out where my rocket needs to go to hit the moon.
Now they teach calculus.
And
Jared had like 3
you know,
years of calculus.
and I kudos to everybody that can understand that stuff. I wasn't wired that way.
Jared come on one night with calculus homework. Mom, can you help me with this? I said, yeah, you're joking, right? I said, I can't even spell calculus.
Well, your brother did the same thing. He was in those advanced classes, and gosh, he was like 4th, 5th grade one time. He said, Dad, can you help me with my math? I said, yeah, let's see what you got. And he opened up the book and looked at it and said, go get your mommy. Because I knew I wasn't going to do it.
Your mommy's a school teacher. Go get her.
Go get her, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I was always in advanced classes too, except for math. I was never in an advanced math class because when it comes to numbers, I'm better at digging a ditch than I am at math. I hate math.
I
Well-
worked at a bank for years and couldn't even balance my own checkbook. Now what's that tell you?
I know what you mean. I can't do that either.
It's terrible.
By the way, listen to my can't. Say can't.
Can't.
Oh, look here. Thank God the way station's closed. Let's roll on by, baby.
Yay! There's a way station up by where I used to live, up in Verona.
No, the viewers might think that I'm doing something illegal. I'm not doing anything illegal. This truck is picture perfect health to be on the highway. I don't like going across the scales because they do random checks, and if they want to write you something, they will write a ticket for you for something. They'll find some reason to write a ticket.
Well,
And I'm not. I'm just not a fan of going by those places. I don't like going by them. And when they're closed, I do a little celebration.
Well, that's where they make their money is through their fees.
yeah, and you're looking at, also you're driving a machine, a big machine, and
Well, sure, yeah.
1,000 mechanical parts on it, lights and all that, and they're wanting you to be safe. I'm not gonna fault them for that.
Except if it's stupid stuff.
If it's stupid, like
Petty.
a burnout light bulb, I wouldn't. But I know they'll find a trucker for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, if they do pull you in there, no matter if you know for a fact you did your pre-trip, your lights are working, you're working, find something, and it'll cost you money almost every time that you go into a waste.
Yeah. And
Make a that. What?
You're breaking up on us again. We're getting
It's I'm not faulting those guys. They're just doing a job and trying to put food on their table. But at the same time, I'm at my job trying to put food on my table. And these truck parts are very expensive. A trucker's world is a very niche, not a niche. Well, it shouldn't even be a niche market. But you can't put anything that you would put on a car. The belts don't fit, the tires don't fit. It's completely different. It's a lot heavier duty machine, and everything costs a lot more.
Yeah, right now while you're driving it's actually it was looking like you were going backwards on the camera. It was funny.
I am. That's why I was celebrating that the way station was closed.
Oh, so you backed up and drove by it again so you can celebrate again?
Yeah, no, I went by them backwards to 60.
Well, see what the downside of that is all that stuff. It may cost the truckers money, but at the bottom line, it all trickles down to the consumer because what you do and what all truckers do for a living is get our goods to the places where we can get what we need.
And shout out to the truckers for doing that.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, truck drivers.
I'm sure I'm not a trucker. I can't speak for them, but I'm sure that's a hard life. You're sitting in that truck all day long, and a lot of times you're sleeping in that truck.
Yeah.
And it's you're not used to a comfortable bed.
Right. No, it's definitely a different lifestyle that a lot of people actually look down on. A lot of the general public don't like to see us around. They turn their nose up at us. They don't want they treat us like we're second class citizens. And then especially on the highway, they almost play chicken with their own lives when they jump in front of a big truck and they jam on their brakes.
Yeah, I saw one the other morning and I did not understand this. There are 2 traffic lights when you get on Route 80 from Hazard going towards Pike. You have to go through. There's one at Walmart and then one at a new shopping center they're starting to build. Well, you take off one Walmart, well, you're back up to speed because you kind of go down a hill, so everybody gets up to speed pretty quick. And was driving the other morning, and there was a box truck that was in front of me, and a car was passing this box truck. Well, the signal turned yellow. What did that car do? So this guy, he's hitting his brakes, slowing down, thinking he's got X amount of feet to stop his truck before he gets to the white line. Car cuts in front of him and slows down at the red light. So automatically he's lost 50 feet right there. Let's say 20 feet for the car, and the distance he thought he was going to have. He got on those brakes hard, and that truck was fishtailing all over the place to keep him hitting that car in the ass. That's just that's so stupid. And there again, I was in Lexington last week driving that little van I've got, and coming up on an intersection, and when I'm slowing down, I always try to keep a distance between, because I'm getting older. My reaction time is not as quick as it was years ago. So I know to stay away from it. I don't ride people's bumper. And I'm slowing down because we're coming up on an intersection, a traffic light. Car passes me up, comes across the front of the bumper, and I know he didn't. The bumpers, there wasn't 6 inches between us. Shot through the slow lane and turned off.
Yep.
On the turn off.
And people,
and I'm sitting there going, what? Why?
You know what I found when I moved down here? People pull out in front of you all the time.
They do.
When you're going down 15 or 80, which if you're not familiar with that, it's highway. It's highway. It's 4-lane highway. And you're going 55, and people just pull out. And then when they pull out, they only want to do about 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they just dare you. No wonder there's so many wrecks down here, and the insurance is so expensive.
And I think they're from another planet.
I think so
They're
too.
they're not driving like everybody else. They're not like they're supposed to.
Yep, you're right. And my biggest quarrel is if one of these trucks hits one of these cars, automatically, it's assumed that it was the truck driver's fault.
Yeah.
Even if we were holding our lane, driving under the speed limit, like I am right now, I'm driving looks like 8 miles an hour below the speed limit. If someone were to hit me right now, they would assume that it was my fault. And then, of course, people see the name on the door or the large commercial vehicle, and they immediately lawyer up. And now you're in a legal proceedings for the next however many months or years. And then eventually, even if you were found innocent in the accident, you may still be liable for their injuries because of their stupidity.
People don't think, and trains the same way. They, where we live, trains only go 35, 40 mile an hour. That's the tracks are curvy. They can't get up speed. You get down in the western part of Kentucky, and it's 70 or 80 miles an hour, and they don't think about that. You go up on a crossing and something coming at you 70 miles an hour, you don't have as much time.
That's right.
And it's just people don't pay attention to that. Everybody's in too big of a hurry to get where they're going. And
and it doesn't even amount. It's not even as simple as that, Dad. I would say it's got a lot to do with the desensitization of people, where they believe that they are the only one that exists on the world. They don't like for instance, right now, you see this truck coming up here. I got over for him, and this car right here changed lanes purposely to get in the slow lane so she could pass. And who knows if this truck driver was standing on the side of his truck?
Yeah.
But she could have hit him very easily.
Yeah.
I assume it's a she. It could have been a he. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to assume. But he or she could have hit that truck driver. Didn't care a bit. Passed me, well over the speed limit, because it doesn't matter that person's the only one that exists in the world. It doesn't matter that I'm here or that truck driver was there. It's simple facts that inside their bubble, inside their car, nothing outside that world matters to them. And that right there should tell you you want to know all you want to know about humanity. Go drive a truck for a week, and you will see the true manner of people and how terrible they are.
Yeah. Well, like I said, everybody, it's all about them. They've overslept. They didn't get up and leave when they should, or whatever. But it's all about their, you know, what's going on in their life, and that's fine and dandy. But you got at some point you got to respect other people.
Well, and as a tow truck, as a full-time tow truck driver and a part-time truck driver, if you see a truck on the side of the road, change lanes, especially if you have the room, get over. Me myself, I'm out there working underneath that vehicle quite a bit. And I roll out from under it. I sure don't want to get my leg run over because you're too sorry or too self-absorbed to change lanes. You
I tell
know,
you what, we took our camper up north and got a flat, and Mike had to pull over right away, and people wouldn't get in out off the lane. They
No.
just flew right by the camper,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and they had room to get
and,
over.
Sure
That's
they do.
perfectly illegal.
Slow down, move over, people.
yeah, and where I had
It's
the
not.
flat, we went up there twice, and
Had flat both times.
I had flat. Well, no, we went up there 3 times, didn't we? We had flat 2 of them, and
Yeah.
and
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
yeah, well, and the first time I got off on the shoulder as far as I could get off, you know. So here I am down there jacking this thing up, and the cars, the semis go by. Well, that is a sail, pretty much.
Yep.
So the air coming off front of them vehicles, you get that big truck, it wants to suck it towards the truck because the air actually starts moving a little faster between the 2 vehicles. So this thing here, I'm jacking this thing and it's rocking back and forth. And I'm saying, yeah, that's all I need is this thing to roll over on me, because it's, they usually slope those shoulders a little bit for water drainage. So I'm already disadvantaged. I'm having to lift the heavy, the most load because that's where the weight transferred to. And this thing's rocking back and forth, and that's a little unnerving itself. Now the second time I found when it had the flat, I pulled off on the shoulder, but about 100 yards up the road, the tire was already shredded, and there wasn't no saving it. So I just pulled it on up where I could get way off the road, and it was a lot. That time was a lot better. But the first time there was no place to really pull off. You just got off on the shoulder, and that's what you had. And
Well, that's what I was saying is like people, they don't care, but now if they're the ones stuck on the side of the road, of course, oh yeah, they care all of a sudden, but they don't care. you know you really need to take into consideration that you are not the only person in the world, and that there are other people out there who may be having a bad day stuck on the side of the road. Don't make it worse for them by making one, their butthole pucker for half a second, or two, making them fear for their life because you're on your phone flying by them at 70, 75 miles an hour, only 5 feet away.
I've got another little story about Route 80 going towards Pikeville. I went out one morning, and it was foggy. It was bad, and I'm coming down, and so I slowed down quite a bit, and there was a thread of black ice and all this, so I wasn't driving real fast. I was probably going about 40, and coming down and kind of in a shallow right hand turn, there was a turnoff, and this car had broken down. And as I'm coming, and I see the lights of the car, so I'm kind of slowing down, starting kind of to get over, and standing in the middle of my lane and close to the center line was these girls were big. They were big old girls standing out in the middle of the road. Well, I had to get on the brakes. Well, just as soon as I did, I hit a patch of black ice. Truck went sideways, and I thought, "Oh God, I'm gonna kill these girls right here." And just so happened it caught, and I whipped around and missed. But at that time,
That's
the time I hit the brakes and stuff, saw that, I was probably still going 25, 30 mile an hour when I went by them, and they were standing out in the road and looked at me like I was, What the hell are you doing? You almost hit us.
Yeah, why were they standing out in the road?
Beats me.
I know, right?
Beats me. I just don't understand that.
It don't make no sense at all.
But
People are stupid.
well, a lot of people don't think about that stuff.
Well, and that's another reason why I'm looking forward to Alien Life finding us, or us finding Alien Life, because I have no hope for humanity right now. You people are dimwits, and I cannot wait until we have another intelligent civilization that you can go bug instead of us truck drivers.
You know, I've been waiting on jetpacks for a long time.
Yeah, that'd be nice too.
You wouldn't have to worry about that stuff. If the jetpack breaks down, they're gonna be down on the ground out of your way. You know, regardless where they landed or crashed, one of the two.
Yeah, that's true
Don't
too.
worry about that. So
That's true too.
But
anyway, so we have
Way off
strayed way away from
way off subject.
talking about paranormals and things like that. So to answer your question, the first part of my question was yes, I have seen some strange stuff, and yes, I've actually seen shadow figures. A lot of people call it a lot of old truckers call it the black dog, but I have seen black shadowy figures that come into the headlights quite often sometimes, and they say that that's when you have been driving for too long, or you're a little tired or something like that.
Your eyes are playing tricks on your head.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
that's probably the only things that I've really actually ever seen while driving a truck. But now there are several stories of truck drivers, the truck drivers have about some strange happenings on the road.
Right.
So you have some. I kind of asked you short notice about talking about some dream stuff or psychic stuff, or
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
yeah, let's get into that one.
I was in college and I took a couple courses on dream research and psychic in the psychology portion of it. I was always so interested in that. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting, we were talking about dreams, the dream research and that. If you dream in color, which I do, but there's a lot of people that don't. But if you dream in color, they say that that's a sign that you have a sixth sense. Well, get me one. That you have a sixth sense, but you just haven't focused enough on it to know how to use it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was interesting because my dreams are like movies. I sit and watch, they're all in color, and it's like sitting and watching a movie. And then I can pretty much remember the majority of mine when I wake up. And that was another thing that they taught us, was to always keep a dream diary right next to your bed. And when you wake up in the morning, that's when it's all the freshest in your mind. And you want to jot down major things that you remember from your dream, like if there was a dog in the dream, or if you dream in color, all your colors mean something. So if your bedroom was a certain color, or if somebody came to visit you that's already passed away, and I have a book and it's called a dream dictionary. And you look those individual items up, and that's how you can interpret your dream.
Well, now see, I've always dreamed in color. I didn't know anybody else didn't dream in color. That's wild to me.
Right? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, here's another thing. I never dreamed in color until I had that stroke. I don't know.
And that's interesting.
About 10 years ago. We're coming up on 10 years, I guess. And
well,
now I do. And there for a while, the dreams were so vivid. And, I had never experienced anything. And, I talked to Dr. Ellie. He went and stuck me on some kind of pill. He said, yeah, I'm going nuts. But, I mean, they were so intense and colorful. And, it was just, I couldn't sleep at night.
I've had premonition dreams where I've dreamed about things and then they happen.
Well, see, now mom was like that. She would have dreams about stuff, and then sometimes it would happen.
Yeah. Well, that's deja vu.
Yeah.
You see something in a dream, and then a week or a month or 6 months later, it happens, and you sit there and remember, oh my God, I saw that. You know, and
Right.
I kind of had a theory on that. Is you're seeing into the future, and basically what my theory was is time is not a straight line. I mean, it's like a river that zigzags back and forth, comes back on itself, and when somebody has deja vu, there at one point in there where that timeline kind of arcs back in real close to where they're at right now, and they see these vids, they see that or dream it or whatever, and then it goes, ever how long it takes you to get around back to that point, that would be your deja vu.
Right.
And
Well,
I don't know if that makes sense, but that, to me, that's plausible.
sure. I had I had the most vivid dream I've had in a long time the other night, and it didn't really. I mean, it scared me in the dream, but it was very. I mean, very vivid. Like, I mean, I'll just tell you, I had an auto accident in the dream, and I felt. I guess it scared my body enough that it felt like I'd been wearing my seatbelt in the wreck, and I woke up and was sore across my chest and shoulders. It was a very, very vivid dream, and I've never had one quite that vivid.
No,
This was only like a week ago or so.
Well, if whenever you dream, that doesn't mean that that is what the point is that it's trying to give you.
Right.
So, for example, if you dream of, I have people ask me all the time, well, what about if I dream of death? That means I'm going to die, or somebody I know is going to die. It's like, no, it means that's a death of an era or a death of an idea or something. It's not the physical death of a human being. And then the same way with birth, everybody's like, well, I had this baby. And it's like, well, that's showing you that there's something new coming in your life. That it's really the death of something old and something new coming into your life.
Sure.
So we'll have to look up and see what car accident means.
Well, there was other aspects to that dream that was very strange in itself. The car accident was, of course, the big thing. That's what ended up waking me up. But there were other things involved in that dream that were
Well, that's
just
what you do. You
strange.
write down all of the little details that you can remember and you look them up in the dictionary. And that's how you interpret it.
Yeah, I mean, and this has been maybe a year ago. I had a dream, and it was real vivid, and it was I don't even remember what it was about, but I remember, it was playing out like a story, and it woke me up. It really startled me awake, and I went, it took me a second, so I went and used the bathroom and come back, and it took me a minute to get calmed down enough to go back to sleep. And when I went back to sleep, that dream picked up where it left off, where I woke up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I evidently I had something subconsciously in my mind that
Well, it wasn't done. It wasn't finished.
wasn't finished with the story, and it picked right back up where it left off and went on, and it was crazy. I'd never done that before.
Yeah, that's very strange. I've always been fascinated about what dreams can tell us about what's going on in our subconscious, but I don't have the patience to sit down and read about it, if that makes sense. That's why I'm glad we have a resident dream dictionary holder on our show.
Well, we just have to, that stuff is interesting because we, like I said, we're only using 10% of our brain. Who knows? Maybe back in the day, and I don't know if they still do this or not. You could at night when your computer was off, you could sign up and let these companies use your computer. They would use your computer power and all that to help boost their stuff for them to take care of their business.
Right.
And, I'm just wondering, could it be when you're having these intense dreams, or when you're having something like it, is something on the outside, not particularly somebody, something on the outside that's triggering something in your brain to ramp up, while you're supposed to be asleep, and then relaxation ramps up to use your mental power, and it causes you to have that stuff.
So that's interesting. I never thought about that.
And I'm not talking about green men or anything like that, or the government or anything. Who knows? It could be. It could be something in your environment, or a magnetic field or something that may be moving or got a little stronger for some reason. Because I mean, I don't do that. I don't dream like that. I don't dream every night. If I do, I don't remember.
Well, you do.
Well, yeah, everybody dreams every night.
Yeah. See, I don't remember. They're either, this one. I'm sure that this dream that I was talking about, it startled me and woke me up, and then I started the story back, was probably, I was coming out of that REM sleep or whatever, and it was just overactive for some reason. But it was real intense, colors, I mean everything, and I couldn't even tell you what it was about. I should have wrote it down. Might have made a good story if we could have made something out of it.
Well, I did give you both composition books to do just that.
Yeah.
And I see that that's not being used. That's a great investment on my part.
Yeah, but you know what? I haven't had a dream that I can remember.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I had
if I dream every night, I don't remember.
Yeah. It's a great investment on my part. That's what I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm doing something stupid in my
life. No. If you do, I would know.
I had another vivid dream not long ago. It was before this past one, but I know what this was about. This one was I'd worked like back to back to back several long shifts, like for like 2 weeks straight, and I had a dream that I got called out to go tow a truck. I could tell you exactly what truck it was. I could tell you exactly where it was at in the parking lot of what business it was. I even remember untying the driveline of this truck to the point where when I woke up, I went and got a shower because I thought I'd been working all night.
Yeah.
I did one time. This was a long time ago. The school we'd get the bids for these school boards, and back in the day, they would have the kids. I don't know if they still do that or not. I'm sure some of them do. Kids would come in the summer, and they would work for the school board, paint the schools and all this and that. So they would order, pallets of paint for, all these school buildings, and I'd have tractor trailer load of paint coming in just for the school boards. And I remember we got one in one time, and and it wasn't like they just ordered it. You seen it, they would want 500 different colors, so you'd have to mix all of it. And I remember woke up one night, I mixed paint all night long because I was keyed up over this because I knew what the next day was going to bring. I was out before I even got to work.
Well, the best dream I ever had with.
No, we can't talk. We can't have this.
Oh my gosh.
No, none of those. Oh, I shouldn't have said best because that would have been best. But
Oh my God.
oh my God. Um, I dreamed when I was in high school, a friend of ours, some school buddy, I dreamed that he came to my house and he had a, a brown van. And that's when like Chevy vans came out. It was the cool thing to have. And sure enough, 2 days later, he pulled up from my house in a brown van, just like I've dreamed he did.
Hmm.
That's deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Premonition.
remember
Yeah.
you saw it, and then you
Yeah.
moved through the
It
time stream
happened.
until you got back around to where it
Yeah.
actually happened.
I love I love dream research and interpreting my dreams and that. I think that's so interesting.
Well, speaking of time, whatever, new movie on Netflix.
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds. It's called The Adam Project, and it's typical Ryan Reynolds. There's a lot of action in it and a lot of humor. Had some good stars in it. Ryan Reynolds, Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Gardner, and Zoe Saldana, I think her name, was in it, and it was a time travel story. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Hmm. I'll have to check it out.
It's on Netflix.
I watched kind of an oldie series here lately. I'm starting on the movie probably when I get back home. But I started the series, which now a series is kind of a loose term because they only did one season of it, but it's about 15 episodes. It's Firefly,
Excellent
and that was
show.
it was a pretty good show. A lot of humor. It was kind of dumb. The ship was really ugly. It looks like a beetle, but it was pretty neat.
It was a good show. I'm
Yeah,
trying to introduce Marge to that. I've just got to talk her into it.
yeah. It's a good show. It's like a space western. It's pretty neat.
He's working on me.
Yeah. Problem is it the Queen's not in it. That's how I keep getting.
I love to watch the Queen shows all the time. And and he watches his sci-fi. The Queen. Ew.
Well, we have wasted a lot of the listeners' time tonight. Uh,
I don't think so.
we didn't really talk about anything that paranormal. It's mostly been us just kind of BSing with each other, and I hope you like that. We had fun. I don't care if you guys did or not. No,
uh, yeah,
no,
we do.
we want you guys to have a good time, and we hope that this was a good show. Um, like I said, the issue was where I have we had planned on doing the show on the Dulce, New Mexico base, but where I have to go to Alabama tonight, I'm not. I don't have my stuff in front of me. They've got their stuff obviously, but we want to do the show all together
But we're
instead
gonna
of
do
breaking it
that.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
of course it was a joke. Me saying that we wasted your time. I don't think we did. I think we had a good show. Um, I will close out by saying, how are gas prices in your neck of the woods? Make sure you vote smarter in the next election,
Amen.
yes,
because you don't realize how these gas prices are going to affect the price of milk and bread and
Everybody.
clothing and
I-
anything that's made of petroleum, your tires, your brakes, silicones. I think even toothpaste has some sort of petroleum product in it. You don't realize how much this is going to be affecting your lives. If gas is for something a gallon right now in the cheap states, I'm sure it's higher than that in California and places like that. Diesel is 5.45 where we live, so it's much higher everywhere else, I'm sure. You don't realize what this is going to end up doing to you, to us soon. Um, it's not going to be a quick recovery process either. Again, in my opinion, watch the way you vote. Uh, I maybe instead of worrying about the little things, you look at their bigger issues before you cast your ballot.
yeah, and when it's and I don't want everybody to think we're telling you to vote, Republican or anything like that. They have some on the left. They have some good ideas. Okay, I'm the environment. Yeah, we need to protect that, but and don't bankrupt your country trying to get there. You got to work on the world because we are by far not the biggest polluters.
No,
And
we're not.
and you know when everybody can come together and work something out, and there again, you got to have the technology that is available to do what you want to do, and we're not there yet.
No, I agree. And places in California where they've incentivized buying these electric vehicles are now having brownouts and telling people not to charge their vehicles because it's
that's fine and dandy. I'm all for electric vehicles. Don't get me wrong, but until we got some kind of power source that can charge them and run everything else, you can't, you can't force it on everybody. And plus, look at the way things are right now. Who can afford an electric vehicle?
sure.
You're going to be on average about $10,000 more than the combustible engine vehicle.
Well, sure. And the repair cost, I'm sure, is not going to be cheaper.
Well, and also you're going to look at the batteries, at the life of those batteries when they.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is right now you go pay $100.
Going to be able to recycle batteries, or is that going to be waste?
Right.
There's a lot of stuff to think about, and there again, they need to be able to get the mileage up. If you're going to have an electric truck like you're driving right now, it's going to have to be able to run 500-600 miles before it needs to be charged up.
Well, now they do have the Tesla's tractor trailer can run 500 miles right now on a charge, but it takes such a long time to charge that vehicle back. And the infrastructure is not there right now to have a charging station at every truck stop or rest area or places or shipper where these things will need to be parked at, because it's not as it is right now. Whenever my hours are up, I have to find a place to park. It doesn't matter if it's on in a parking lot or if it's on the shoulder of, well, you can't park on the shoulder of the road, but if it's just off the main road somewhere, let's say I do that in an electric vehicle, the next morning I'm still stuck. You gotta have the infrastructure there in place before you flip the switch on one thing and let the other take over.
Just like where you're at, let's say they're in the middle of the desert, it's hot, they're having to sleep in a truck that night, they're going to have to run an air conditioner, which takes power. Or wintertime, they're going to have to run the heat, which takes power. So
exactly.
If they don't have some way to keep that charged up, like I said, I'm all for it. If but like I said, we got to get the rest of the world on board with all that. And
yeah, for sure.
And then don't say this is it. You got to work your way into it. You got to get the technology there to make it happen. And then it's fine. Then we might have a clean world.
Well, and I'm excited. I'm excited, honestly, for electric vehicles. Yeah, I know I'm probably going to get crucified by the trucking community, but at the same time, I know what these vehicles do to the world. I understand that. I'm not stupid. I'm not turning my back on the environment by any means. I think we should move forward with that technology, but until that infrastructure is in place to support that new technology, you cannot simply turn the switch on what you have right now. If you do, you throw the world.
And that's exactly what's happened. They
haven't. You want to throw the world into chaos.
They haven't transitioned into electric. It's just been thrown down our throats. I'm not going to go out and buy a $70,000-$80,000 automobile that the very first year that they put electric motors out.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not doing it.
Something that you look at too, as politicians are, once what is it? 2030 or something like that, or 2025 or something. I don't know. I think it was GM said all their vehicles are going to be electric. Well,
Yeah, the big manufacturers, Ford and GM, have decided that by 2025 or 2030, I can't remember the exact date, will no longer have combustion vehicles being produced.
and see what happens. Well, that's when you'll see gas really go high
Sure.
because they're going to be basically trying to force them into the electric vehicle.
I agree.
But you also look at what if you can't afford a new vehicle? What if you can't afford one like that, and all you have is your old gas car? And then they pass this law, well, you can't get on the road unless you have an electric vehicle. How are people going to work? Nobody's worried about the problems that all this and it all has to be worked through to get to that point to where things work smoothly. An example, Obama basically shut down the coal industry in our country, saying there's no more coal-fired power plants. Well, they were going to use natural gas. Well, then they switched it over, and the natural gas doesn't burn hot enough to make enough electricity. And so it didn't work. And now it's like, you're having, like in California, you're having brownouts because they're depending on wind and solar and all this, and it doesn't produce because the wind doesn't blow and the turbines aren't turning. If it's a cloudy day, they're not producing enough electricity like they should be.
We still take this.
Yes.
And
yeah, don't let no F bombs fly, Kathy or Marge.
No, I won't. I promise.
So it's just got to be, they need to step back and everybody work on a problem, solve it, move on to the next one, and get where it needs to be.
Well, again, and like I said earlier, if we all just worked together and got along, but we can't stop fighting with each other, it's untelling where we could be at right now.
Yeah.
And again, I don't. This has just been something that's really been weighing on me. As a truck driver, having all of this, these fuel issues, are not issues, but just how expensive fuel has gotten. I know what's coming after this. We have to charge more to get your freight to these stores, and therefore these stores are going to have to increase their prices. It's not a win-win for anyone, except for maybe the petroleum industry or the energy company. I don't even know if the petroleum industry is making that much money off of it. Sure they are, but
you got to look. It's they went from, they shut a pipeline down. It wasn't complete. But if it had been complete, would cut to millions of barrels, at relatively no cost, made it cheaper. Now the oil's still moving. It's going on trucks and trains, but
which is a larger environmental issue than the pipeline would be.
Well, they run on diesel, and so you're pumping more pollution. They have to fill those things up, but because it costs more to get that oil wherever to the refineries, they have to raise prices on that, which it's just a vicious circle that there's no end to. And it's just silly things because people aren't working on the same problem. Somebody gets an idea, they holler about it, and they say, "Oh, that's a good idea," and they pass a law, and it don't work.
But what I'm getting at is on the trucks and trains, that's a much better chance of an environmental disaster than if it were in a pipeline.
Sure. But that's another step, and there again, probably 100 years from now, there's not going to be an oil. They're going to have everything pumped out that's worth pumping out. That's
right.
Things are going to change one way or the other. Don't don't make it tough on everybody to get there. You got to work the problems out. Take it at a time. Used to when they were trying to clean the emissions out of the cars, they would sign a bill and say, okay, automakers, you got 5 years to get to this point. And they would have to develop technology to get it there.
Right.
And then, they'd come up with something else. You got 5 years to get to this one. They need to look at that, set a time limit, a realistic time limit, work the problem and get things where it's working, and you're going to gradually see the benefits of it. You can't it's not going to happen overnight. And that's the sad thing about it is they want it to happen overnight. And
Right. That's not going to happen.
The realization because, our elected officials are out of touch.
It's not going to happen overnight. Nothing has ever happened overnight. Our elected officials have so many channels that they have to go through, and some of them have alternative motives that they try to sneak into these bills.
Well,
and what I'm getting at is, they have to go through so much red tape just to get something passed. It's not going to happen overnight. It may not even happen over several nights,
right,
quote unquote.
And, it's just like I said, they need to pick one problem. Let's work the problem, find a solution, and be realistic on your timeline of getting it there. And we'll change. They could change the world and make it a better place, but it's going to take that time, and going to take cooperation. It ain't this like, it's my way or the highway.
Right.
And they shouldn't be that way. But we're scooting off on something political and we need to stop.
Yeah. I mean, it's this is the paranormal trucker, not the political trucker.
Yeah. And but like
which could be a new
the,
YouTube show. I'm just saying.
Some of the stuff that they're coming up with, that they're working on, Elon Musk at SpaceX, and right now he's quarreling with the government because the FAA won't give him the okay to launch this rocket out of Texas. And I'm sorry, there's he's out on the coast. There might be some birds around, but as soon as one rocket fires off, they're not going to be. They ain't all standing around that launch tower.
Right.
So he's having to kind of pull up stakes out of Texas and moving everything to Florida where he don't have to have that because they've already had those studies done. That's, to me, that's a political ploy or something.
Elon, Elon needs to just bring it to Kentucky.
Well, you look what he's done. He's taken a lot of money away from the old money. Lockheed, ULA, they thought that, hey, we're going to get the government contract, get all this money, and he's doing it for half the cost.
Right.
Yeah. And they're, I just think that's all. They shouldn't do that. Let him advance the technology. What don't have a patent on it. You can build this stuff, and there are a number of other rocket companies doing that. They're doing that all, and they're all startups. It's not tied to major money.
Right.
And I'm not saying rockets are the way of the future, but he's got a vision and is actually making this thing work. At first I kind of watched the SpaceX videos just to see what kind of explosions we want to see, because they were starting up from scratch. And
there was some good ones.
They've got one of the most reliable rockets flying. And
yeah, but there was some good explosions there for a while.
Oh yeah. Especially some of those where they're trying to learn how to land those rockets and get it right.
Right.
You'd have a few of them sit there and look looked like they was going to make it, and all of a sudden they'd fall over and explode. There was some dandies, but I will have to say that one of the coolest videos I ever saw was when he launched the first Falcon Heavy, and sitting there, and those two boosters come back and landed side by side at the same time. That was probably pretty cool. One of the coolest things I'd seen.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Elon Musk, if you're a fan of the Paranormal Trucker, please write to us. We would love to talk to you. I need a truck driving job as far as hauling your rockets around.
Well, and there's a company that does that. Every time they land on one of them barges and it comes into the port, they have to travel down the road to Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. Well, have we got anything else we want to cover tonight?
I think we've hit on a wide range of subjects. No ghosts, no UFOs, no anything paranormal, but we've hit on a wide range of subjects. So hopefully it'll pique somebody's interest.
I hope so too. That's I've had a good time talking tonight. I've got a little bit off my chest as far as trucker rules, and that the little cars should drive or should drive by. And I've had a pretty good trip. It's made the last 2 hours of the trip go by pretty quick.
Well,
that's good.
That we've accomplished one thing anyway.
Yeah.
Get out of that.
Well,
Okay.
I hope everything we're still recording everything. Your screen is blank.
Yeah, it's I'm in Knoxville right now, so I'm having to look at my GPS.
Okay.
It's still recording, so. But we have talked about a wide range of stuff tonight, and I was joking earlier when I said we've wasted the listeners' time. No, we haven't. This was kind of an off the cuff show, because we had planned for a totally different show, and work happens, and I didn't feel like it was fair to the listeners to let another week go by without posting something. So like I said, this is kind of an off the cuff show where we talked about a little bit of everything, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know I did. Snowman, Large Marge, did you guys enjoy it?
I certainly did.
All righty. Well, we'll oh, you got another thought? What is it?
Well, I was just going to say, we got about 8 inches of snow Friday night. I hope this is the last for a long time. I'm ready for some warm weather.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about spring and summer myself.
Yeah,
But,
well, Marge got a new set of pool steps, and she's wanting them in the pool, and I ain't getting in that water. It's cold. It's cold. It's going to have to warm up a little bit before I climb
Oh
down in there.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Oh goodness. Whew. This time change is already messing with me. I know that.
I'm liking it. It didn't get dark till 7:30 today.
Yeah.
I'm liking that.
It's gonna be nice, that extra hour of daylight.
Oh yeah.
I wish they would just decide not to do it anymore.
Gives you a little time to enjoy the evening after work. You got a little more time to, enjoy yourself and go out and see the outdoors or cut grass or anything.
Right. Who's snorting?
That's Chunt.
Oh, was he got him a toy?
He got a booger.
Uh-oh.
I think he's trying to get it out of there. He's over there.
Oh, poor guy. All righty. Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight. If you want to reach out to us, paranormaltrucker@yahoo.com is the way you can get in contact. Send us some information. Send us a story. Send us your questions, comments, confessions, concerns, whatever it may be. We'll read it. We'll read it on the air. We'll keep you anonymous unless you want us to mention your name. Tune in next week or the week after, most likely. well, I think we want to try to do it once a week, but it's looking like we're probably going to be able to knock it down to once every 2 weeks. That's probably going to be our more set schedule, unless something happens. If you get one every week, that's a bonus episode. You should love it. But we're gonna call it a night tonight. Again, paranormaltrucker@yahoo.com. If you see us on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment. Leave us a comment and a like. We love hearing from everyone. We hope to hear from more of you. Working on some stuff with our dear friends, the Spooky Family. Hopefully, we'll get them on soon. Another round with Seth, the Seth's Daily Podcast, and Justin Perkins. We're trying to get him back on. Firewater, we didn't forget you, buddy. We will. We're trying to work that out with to get you back on as quick as we can. But other than that, guys, have a good night. Stay safe, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Good night.
Uh-oh. There we go. I figured it out now.